into that. I don't know where he's getting it from about this detailed history of neglect, because just there is none. So why is everybody lying?
I
Why is the governor of the state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts lying?
Because he's got to be in on it.
Why is he repeating information that he look? If I was going to write a letter, if I was the governor of the state and I was going to write a letter to my state legislature, I would surely make sure that what I'm saying is right. So he uses this language that the department fed him, I suppose, and there's no evidence to show that there's any history of neglect on this family. So it's just like everybody just lies. One person lies, and 12 of them swear by it.
Well, doesn't the governor have like daily press briefings and that kind of stuff with the press? Are they weekly or monthly or whatever?
He was a civil rights attorney. He was a civil rights attorney. He's a Baptist preacher, and he's apparently conservative, a registered Democrat. That's what I was told about.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, does he have press briefings? Yeah,
I mean, they all do. I don't know if he issues daily, but he has not. I have not been able to find a press release.
Could you go to you from humanevents.com? Could you actually go to one of his press briefings and ask questions? That's what I was trying to get at.
I think I could. They let me in. They might have a picture of me on their wall throwing darts at it. No, I think Andrew Cuomo does, though.
Well, the reason why
I think Andrew Cuomo has a picture of me on his wall and he throws darts at it.
He doesn't like you?
I'm always writing about him bad.
I never liked him, so But the reason why I'm saying is because there seems to be we need to get the ball rolling on this, and if somebody starts asking questions and they start stammering and stuttering and spitting, then other people are going to go, wait a minute, well he's acting like there's got to be something here, and maybe you might be able to kickstart the goddamn media to get off their butts once in a while.
Well, we could do that. We could do that. You could record it because you're the person to do that, right?
Yeah,
so we could get that on tape. Actually, I just have to get myself to D.C. because not D.C. to Massachusetts because I'm in Tampa right now.
Somehow, some way, I can take a train. I know I can get there by train. I just don't drive, but I want to be able to take my equipment. But I think I could do it.
If I could, because weekday I'm down in Tampa, so weekdays are a little tough because I have my kids are in school, and I'll try. I'll keep it in my head. I'll try to get down there. I'll think about it for the next couple of weeks if I can get up there.
Yeah, that's what it's going to take.
But
I got to prepare to get up there, but I think if we could do that, if it's not settled by then. But what I still can't understand, the guy makes this.
It's not going to be settled. Yeah, it's not going to be settled. Let me continue. Let me give you the update then.
All right.
Well, first of all, that her health is getting worse and worse. The department did let Justina go ahead and see her physician at Tufts, who was treating her successfully for 2 years on a vitamin regimen, and he wanted to continue seeing her on a weekly basis, but DCF said, no, we're thinking about every 6 to 9 weeks. So the family really has no idea what's going on there because they do not have any access to her medical information. They are not allowed to discuss medicine or medical with their daughter during their visits. They're not allowed to get information from Dr. Corson, who is the doctor.
How can that be legal? I don't understand how that can be possibly legal. That, you know what I mean? That's your child. How can they not tell you what medicine and what tests that they were doing? How can that be legal? I mean, how? It doesn't comprehend to me.
And you want to hear something else, which is so outrageous, is that this vitamin regimen that she was on at Tufts for mitochondrial disease successfully for 2 years. She was in a private school, happy, ice skating, plenty of friends. Everything is going really well for her. And for this one doctor to just unilaterally, after a 20-minute interview with her, re-diagnose as a mental condition. Lou Pelletier told me his older daughter had mitochondrial disease as well, and it may be hereditary. I don't know. But the idea is that this treatment was helping her. And now see how bad her condition has become. And just earlier this month, there's a report out of Finland and Switzerland which says that vitamin treatment can slow down the progression of mitochondrial disease. Very successful. In Science, I think it's science.com or science something. But it's linked to the article that's going to post at Human Events. You could look at it yourself. So you have a young lady who is doing very well. The only reason why she went to that hospital anyway was because she was having a little gastro problems, having trouble keeping food down for about a week. That's what Mr. Staver told me.
Well, that was my next question. That's great. I mean, she goes in there for gas, and they diagnose her with somatoform. You see what I'm saying? How the connection just doesn't connect?
It's ridiculous, right? It's
how the hell
purpose.
can this guy for 7 months out of medical school make these kinds of decisions? 7 months out of medical school? I mean, I can see maybe 7 years, and if you're really good and you pass a bunch of tests and everybody trusts you, but 7 months, who's the real doctor in there in charge? Doesn't he have to look at what this guy did? I mean, 7 months? No other doctor said, hey, wait a minute, kid, you made the wrong decision?
Yeah, you have to look at him, which is Dr. Peters, and you also have to look at the psychologist researcher from Harvard researcher, who made the diagnosis, who reclassified the diagnosis, and her name is I can't pronounce it right.
Bongiorno, Miriam,
Bongiorno.
Or something.
And she's already written a couple of papers concerning somatoform disease, and Mr. Staver told me that they do know for a fact that she has received money, funding from the government to do studies on this particular topic. You and we're trying to sort of track where that funding is coming from.
I found a bunch of, you can find some studies, not that many, but you can find some studies on somatoform, but I couldn't find. And this was on. I've got the websites, but I saved a whole bunch of different pages, so I can just quickly go to it. But you can't get like the doctor, and you can't find out. Well, obviously you're not going to find out the patient's name. But I'm trying to link it in with that doctor, and it's very, very difficult to find out who actually. It may not be this particular doctor who actually got this particular. I'm sure that something like this is got several middlemen. You know what I mean? So it goes up and down the chain somewhere.
I think where the ER comes, the ER physician, Dr. Peters, who first saw her, I think where he comes in is he says, "Wow, she's got the symptoms that the psychologist is doing the study on. Let me call her in," because the parents had requested a particular doctor, Dr. Flores, who is a gastroenterologist, and who had seen Justina before. And when they requested him, the Dr. Peters, the ER doctor, 6 months out of medical school, was the one who said no. He refused to even contact Dr. Flores, but indeed contacted the psychologist researcher.
He's getting a kickback from her. He's getting a kickback.
No, he shouldn't have. And it's like they're letting these people, whether it's a social worker or a child protection police officer, or it's a doctor, they're letting these individuals make a decision ahead of parents. And then once the allegations start flying, well, the judge just sort of rubber stamps it. That's what seems to be happening. I was also told that by Mr. Staver that they're just under the impression that it's a whole kind of rubber stamping thing going on. Harvard says we're doing this study. DCF, this is interesting. DCF doesn't have its own medical director, so they rely on the doctors the doctors, they just rely on what the doctor says. So they'll rely on that almost as if they don't have an in-house medical doctor to kind of question the veracity of these 51A complaints, right, that come in. Well, they just take the word of the physician. It appears like it appears as if there was no investigation done at all. Because how could there have been? They didn't interview the parents. They didn't interview the doctor. They didn't interview the sisters. They didn't go to the home. They didn't do anything. All they did was receive this report from the hospital, and they only submitted the report after the parents said, "Look, we're gonna take our daughter out. We don't agree with what you want us to do." And that's when they filed the report and called it medical neglect. So it was really, in other words, these people are just, deciding upon themselves. They make these decisions and they move forward on it. And somehow the judges rubber stamp it.
Well, I think everybody's
and what happens in the meantime? Well, parents and kids, they really, really suffer. They really suffer a lot. And it's terrible. And you're right. Everybody should be outraged.
These grants and these government grants. Now, I applied for a lot of different grants when I tried to get my my theater company. I still have a theater company. I just, I spent all my money on my play that I did in the city a couple of years ago. But applying for grants, you can't just get a grant. You have to have connections. You have to know somebody to get it. Now, a lot of these grants, and this is what this money's coming from. And what I think my I can get away with this because I'm not an actual news organization. But I think what's happening is this doctor over here is going to get X amount of money, whoever actually got the grant, and in order to get their test subjects so they can keep the grant, because if they don't have enough test subjects, well, then they're not going to get the money. So they get down over here and get a doctor, 7 months out of medical school. He's young enough, he'll play ball. Then, of course, they got to grease the judges, and they got to then the judge has to now, you got to grease the governor. So everybody's making money off of children. This is sick and twisted, and I can't imagine that this is only going on just in Massachusetts, which makes it even more sick and more twisted. And it looks like Congress, well, they don't need to go on any breaks. They got some work to do. And this is a child's life. And to me, and all the reports that I'm reading, and I'm sure you know more too. I mean, this girl, does it look like she's got within a couple of months? I mean, is she that bad? I mean, how can she speak now? I mean, she can't walk anymore, I understand, right?
She's paralyzed, right? Lou said her condition is getting worse and worse. That was his exact words.
Because I seen the video of her ice skating, just weeks, a few weeks before she went into the hospital, and then I guess her health drastically deteriorated. Well, when you get thrown in a room and don't get any kind of attention whatsoever, your health is going to get worse. Duh. Well,
of course it is, and the thing is that they took her immediately off the vitamin regimen that was working for her successfully for 2 years, and so that's gonna increase the disease she has. So right then and there, her physical capacity was increased I'm sure at the onset, and now could you just imagine her mental capacity, because she misses her parents, she misses her sisters, she wants to go home. She doesn't want to be. She feels like she's in jail. I saw that quote out there. I'm not going to quote it because I don't know for sure whether she said that, but it sure looks like she's in jail. And if I was 14 years old and they took me away from my parents, I would think, what the heck is going on here? Why would you take me away from my parents? It doesn't make any sense.
The biggest part of her health deteriorating is in her mind. I mean, she's thrown in a room and she can't see her friends, her family. She can't get any medical attention except for whatever kind of probes or shots or whatever the hell they're doing to her. God only knows what they're testing her with, and they can't tell her parents. That can't be legal. I mean, this seems criminal to me.
Right.
Am I wrong?
It is criminal. I agree with you. And there was another thing I wanted to point out that Mahoney told me. Justina was on, and Mr. Pelletier said so too. Justina was on an IEP plan, and that's something that's put together by counties or states for kids who, either have special needs or learning disabilities. And it's just so that they get the special needs in the public school systems that they need. I find it, I think it's good. So in any event, she was on an IEP for a learning disability in Connecticut, in a private school, happy with friends, and now she's in this facility, non-medical facility. We don't know. She's getting little, if any, education. We don't know what she's getting. We know she's not on her IEP plan, that's for sure. And
there's no doctor on
just like being taken away from her. She's not getting the education. And the other thing is that, that the family is Catholic. Justina has indicated that she does want some religious instruction, or she wouldn't mind to see a priest or go to Mass. And so far, again, Massachusetts has provided little, if any, of religious freedom. We know she did not get to go to Easter last year. She did not get to go to Christmas. She does not get to do any holidays with her family or any religious holidays. So, and I'm going to just quote what Mr. Mahoney, Reverend Mahoney said, which is in my article. And he said, not only is she being separated from her family and friends and the lifestyle she knew, we have a real crushing of her civil rights regarding her religious freedoms and her educational needs. And he continued, of course, these are very serious federal violations, and he said, we are meeting with federal legislators to address the questions of what freedoms of decisions parents and children have of religious rights and education when the government comes in and usurps their rights. So they are meeting with legislators. It is something that they want to take on a national level, but of course right now their main focus is to get Justina back home. And this is, and I just wanted to just follow up with their what they have proposed. They have proposed to both Connecticut and Massachusetts. They said bring her home, conditional. You can come in here. You can oversee it. You can come in once, twice a week. Do your weekly visits. Make sure Justina's needs are being met. And they don't accept that.
There's
they
got
have
to
rejected
be
that proposal.
Well, I can't understand how anybody in any kind of position of any kind of power can not stand up and say, this is wrong. Where the hell are any of the prosecutors? Where the hell are any lawyers? Judges, for God's sakes. Don't they have like a some kind of judge cafe or some kind of judge room where they all sit around and talk? Can't one of these guys say, hey, dude, what are you doing? Nobody seems to have stood up and said, this is wrong. This is what drives me just absolutely insane. This is what sends me off into Deep Space Nine. It's this kind of crap. Why is nobody saying this is wrong and allowing people to do it unless everybody's getting paid? I just find this it's very unsettling to me, and I'm afraid to find out any more information because this is sick. But why can't the family? I know they've got what's his name, Dershowitz or whatever wants to get involved. But why can't? What I don't understand is why aren't they in court right this very second?
Well, they are. There are several different lawsuits. I don't know whether they've been filed or not. Liberty Counsel took over the case. I guess now it's been 6 or 7 weeks, and they are filing lawsuits on a federal and state level, and also probably a couple of civil actions, Mr. Seaver said. And, they are. Right now,
but does anybody understand that the girl needs medical attention? See, this is what drives me nuts. You've got all these judges and all these freaking lawyers and all these doctors, but she's getting no medical attention. Why? This is what sends me just...
This is what they've... From what I understand, Massachusetts has agreed to resume treatment at Tufts. Now, what that means is the parents just don't know because they can't communicate with the doctor, so they don't know whether she was put back on the vitamin treatments, or they just don't have any answers to those questions. She's still at that facility. It hasn't been, Connecticut hasn't found, I guess, a suitable place for her. And the thing is that, of course, the parents just say their position is clear.
But does she go to Tufts, or does the Tufts doctor go to her at the facility? Because there's no doctor.
I'm not really sure. I don't know how that took place. I don't know. She did have one visit with the Tufts doctor. That I do know for sure. And I know that he wanted to see her more.
Well, if she goes over to Tufts, Tufts should then say, well, no, this is my patient. You can't have her anymore. She's now my patient. Maybe Tufts ought to play that same game.
I don't know. I don't even know if,
But, I mean, I don't know. Well, Raquel, you've been doing your homework, I tell you. You've been working. I know I've been doing some stuff on here. I think there's a lot of people, but the real mainstream media needs to catch on to this. And why they're not, I don't know. I know social media is all over it, and we're going to put this review on my YouTube account today. You get hits from people looking up, because I think there are people, waking up, but the problem is it should be all over the news. We shouldn't hear about Kim Kardashian. We shouldn't hear about this or that or any of that other crap. This should be right now. This ranch is over with. This has got to be the top story. I mean, and it's got to be, there's got to be some reporters that have, some inside dope. They've got to be able to talk to some of these people. Some of these mainstream reporters need to start asking questions. How big does this really go? You know what I mean? I think this is.
And I think that when you have so much pressure from the alternative media, eventually the mainstream does have no choice but to pick it up. Usually, that's what I'm sort of hoping for, and we just have to keep on that pressure. If we keep on that pressure, eventually they have to pick it up. And and Lou Pelletier is really afraid for her health. He says her condition is that bad.
I don't know how
this
guy keeps his composure. I don't know how he does.
There is an urgency to the idea that she needs help, and somebody has to come in there and help her. And the governor, is doing absolutely nothing. The governor is just like taking the back.
He's got to be in on it too. He's got to be in on the deal too. I mean, why? How could you knowing full well, if you're a governor of a state, somebody comes up to you, one of your aides, says, "Hey, we got this girl who's been stuck in a hospital, left for dead, no medical attention. She's been there for a year and a half, and the family wants to get in custody. The judge said they can have it. You know the story." Who would say, okay, I can't get involved? Nobody. Anybody with half a freaking brain is going to say, okay, I've got an opportunity to get involved. This little girl's going home. She's going home now. Boom, done. I don't understand unless they're making money somehow, some way, or they're covering themselves up for something else that they did. I mean, this is...
They're covering, they have to. And he has already attempted to cover for the chief anyway of DCF, because the state legislature did reach out to him requesting that she submit a letter of resignation, because there were, X amount of foster parents who were felons, there were X amount of children missing, there were X amount of deaths in the last few years, and the system is basically broken, is what the letter said to the governor. Now, and this was previous to Justina. They didn't include Justina's case in this letter. But the governor said, no, she's good. It's very, it's a very hard job, and she's been at it for 20 years, and, I'm going to give her credit, and no, she shouldn't resign. And now this, and he still backs off, and he still doesn't demand her resignation, or, get his feet wet, or go in there and find out. If he's going to write a letter to the state legislature and he's not going to verify what he wrote, so he literally wrote, there is a detailed history of neglect in the Pelletier home. That would be in Connecticut. Okay, so where is it, Governor? Where is it? When? How come now? Where was it?
Yes.
You know,
so that's
it doesn't make.
yeah.
You know, he has to. He has to know that that's either made up by the state because that's what they do to just shuffle it. You know, get the kids in.
Or he made it up.
I don't think he made it up. I think, in my opinion, I just think that the state made it up, and that he's just repeating what their documents. Because
what they told them.
How they get away with getting her in the first place at the 72-hour hearing is that they'll make a whole bunch of allegations. And I bet you that those allegations contain something like a history of neglect. And with that, the judge, rather than investigating whether there really is a history of neglect, the judge just rubber stamps that. Well, now they have an excuse to keep the kid. Well, it's not just the medical neglect, but it's also the history of neglect. That's what I'm saying. But that didn't come out. They didn't say that publicly because they don't have to say anything publicly. Nobody knew back then.
And then if they get caught,
and the other thing is that all of these records are confidential. I can't get access to the court records because it's juvenile court, which is also a problem. I don't trust them. I don't trust the governor. I think the governor is just trying his best to be a part of to be away from it. But
you got to
get
down to that governor's press briefing. You got to poke that guy right there at his press briefing. You got to start asking these questions. Make him sweat. If he starts abbing and jabbing and then you got him, and then just hammer him, and then you're gonna people are gonna wake up. They got to. This media's got to wake up. If there's nothing in it for these reporters, they're not going to get involved. This is what makes me sick. Our culture anymore is much different than it used to be. It's like you went to sleep one day, you woke up, and then all of a sudden we're in a complete different land. We never used to be this way. America never used to be this way. Why would they do this with their children? Why would they take people's cows out of the government? We never did this stuff. This is ridiculous. All of this stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree.
But. Anyway, I've got to.
So I'm going to be working on the First Amendment angle to the story this week, and I can come back on next Monday if you want.
Absolutely. I look forward to hearing your. How can people read your article? Where can they find your?
Well, you can find all my articles at humanevents.com/author/Raquel Okyay. But the Pelletier articles. You could just, if you go to humanevents.com, it would be posted on news, which is on the front page of the website.
Okay. All right. I just want to have I get a lot of people that download, and I get a lot of people that are on their smartphones. And then I got a lot of people there's people in the chat room and this and that. So at least they know how to read your article. I look forward to reading that article. It doesn't look like she's going to be out of there before Monday. So, I would definitely love to have you back again on Monday, Raquel. I really appreciate you showing up here today. You gave us some good information, some sick, twisted information that I didn't want to read or didn't want to hear, but we got to get this stuff out. So.